They said it was gone, extinct for decades. But whispers persist and shadows dance in the Tasmanian forests. Could the Tasmanian tiger still be alive? Join us as we unravel the mystery, exploring the evidence and the stories that keep the hope alive. The mysterious Tasmanian tiger, declared extinct in the 1930s, continues to spark debate among scientists and enthusiasts. This video explores the evidence for and against its continued existence, examining eyewitness accounts, photographic anomalies, and scientific investigations, leaving viewers to ponder the possibility of this iconic creature still roaming the wild. G'day, Cobber. Down here in the thick, misty forests of Tassie, where the fog hugs the ancient trees and the bush whispers secrets, there's a yarn that just won't die. An enigmatic critter, a striped predator with a powerful gob that for centuries ruled the imagination and the ecosystem of this island, the Tasmanian tiger, or Thylacinus. Declared extinct nearly a century ago, its name still rustles in the breeze, feeding the hope and curiosity of scientists, enthusiasts, and those who reckon it might still be out there, lurking in the shadows. This doco dives deep into the history and mystery of the Tassie tiger, exploring not just its fascinating biology, but also the impact of its presence and absence on our culture and science. Known for its fair dinkum unique look, a dog-like body with tiger stripes on its back, a stiff tail, and a marsupial pouch, the Thylacinus was an apex predator, perfectly suited for hunting in its native stomping ground. Its jaw, capable of opening at an unusual 80-degree angle, and its hind legs that allowed for a temporary bipedal stance, made it a truly one-of-a-kind creature in the animal kingdom. But even before the European mob rocked up, the Tassie tiger was already a central figure in the yarns of the Aboriginal people. Legends and stories passed down through generations describe the Thylacinus not just as an animal, but as a spirit of the land, a guardian, or even a being with mystical powers. For some tribes it was revered, for others, hunted. One Nuenon legend, for instance, tells how the Tassie tiger got its stripes through an act of courage and healing, marking its skin with the blood and spiritual power of a hero. These stories, rich in symbolism and connection to nature, reveal the deep bond between the Aboriginal people and this creature long before its tragic official extinction. For many, the belief in its survival isn't just scientific hope, but a continuation of an ancient connection to the land and its mysteries. Its importance to Tassie's ecosystem was massive, mate. As an apex predator, the Thylacinus played a crucial role in controlling herbivore populations, keeping nature's balance in check. Its extinction left an ecological void, the consequences of which are still felt today. Losing such an iconic species isn't just losing an animal, it's losing a vital part of a continent's biodiversity and natural history. And it's that gap, that unsolved mystery, that keeps feeding the search and the fascination for the Tasmanian tiger. Fair go, it's a ripper of a story, eh? The official yarn of the Tasmanian tiger hits a dark patch on September 7th, 1936. That was the day the last known specimen of the species, affectionately dubbed Benjamin, though recent research suggests its sex and name are a bit of a furphy, and the animal was actually a Sheila, kicked the bucket at Beaumaris Zoo in Hobart, Tassie. The cause of death was put down to neglect, as the poor bugger was left out in the cold during a chilly night without proper shelter. A fair dinkum cruel irony for a species that had already been hunted relentlessly and which, just 2 months prior, had been given protected status. Benjamin, or the Sheila, who became the symbol of extinction, had been snagged in 1933 by Elias Churchill and flogged off to the zoo. Rare and historical footage, some of it even colorized, shows the animal pacing its enclosure, a ghost of its former wild glory. These clips, shot by David Flea, are the only moving pictures of a live Tassie tiger, and they serve as a poignant reminder of what we lost. They capture the essence of a creature that, despite its dog-like appearance, had a unique agility and presence, with its distinctive stripes and peculiar way of moving. Benjamin's passing wasn't a one-off event, but the tragic end of a decline that had been going on for decades. The species, which once roamed not just Tassie, but also mainland Australia and New Guinea, had already vanished from the mainland about 2,000 years ago, probably due to competition with dingoes and climate change. In Tassie, the arrival of European settlers in the 19th century sealed its fate. Seen as a threat to cattle and sheep, the Tassie tiger was targeted in an extermination campaign, driven by government bounties and the belief it was a pest. The official declaration of extinction by the International Union for Conservation of Nature, IUCN, in 1982, and by the Tasmanian government in 1986, cemented the end of an era. However, this declaration wasn't without its controversies. Many argued that the lack of in-depth research and the sheer vastness of Tasmanian wilderness made the claim of its total absence a bit premature. From that moment on, the Tassie tiger went from being just an animal to an icon of conservation, a symbol of biodiversity's fragility, and a grim reminder of the consequences of unchecked human action. But for some, Benjamin's story wasn't the end, but the start of a new chapter of mystery and hope. Stone the crows, what a story, eh? The Tassie tiger didn't just vanish into thin air, mate. Its extinction was a direct result of a relentless chase, driven by fear, ignorance, and a fair bit of greed. When the European settlers rocked up in Tasmania in the early 19th century, the island's delicate ecological balance got a proper whack. These settlers, mostly sheep farmers, saw the thylacine as a direct threat to their flocks, even though there wasn't much proof it was a big sheep-eater. The Tassie tiger's reputation as a sheep vampire spread like wildfire, sparking a collective panic that ended up in a full-blown extermination campaign. The Tasmanian government, bowing to the farmers' pressure, set up a bounty system for dead Tassie tigers. From 1888 onwards, each adult fetched a quid and a joey 10 bob. This policy spurred on professional hunters and settlers to chase the thylacine non-stop, turning hunting into a lucrative business. Thousands of these magnificent creatures were knocked off, their skins and skeletons becoming trophies. Many of them are still sitting in museums around the world today, silent witnesses to a bloody tragedy. The discovery in 2022 of the last known Tassie tiger's remains, stashed away in a museum cupboard, is a grim reminder of how little value wildlife had back then. Besides the direct hunting, other things played a part in the species' rapid decline. Habitat loss was a real gut punch. As the bush was cleared for farms and settlements, the thylacine lost its hunting grounds and hideouts. Fragmented habitats isolated populations, making them even more vulnerable. The introduction of wild dogs, which competed for tucker and spread diseases, also played a role. Diseases like mange that affected dogs might have spread to the thylacine populations, weakening them even further. In less than a century, the Tassie tiger, which had survived for millions of years, was pushed to the brink of extinction by human hands. Its downfall serves as a fair dinkum warning, a painful reminder of what happens when humans go troppo with nature. The story of the thylacine's hunt and downfall is a dark chapter in conservation history, but it's also sparked a growing awareness about the importance of protecting species before it's too late. Still, for many, the story doesn't end there. The belief that a few individuals might have survived, tucked away in the vast, unexplored parts of Tassie, keeps the hope and the search alive. Even though they officially declared it extinct, the Tassie tiger never really buggered off from the popular imagination. Nah, quite the opposite, mate. Its legend grew, fueled by a steady stream of unconfirmed sightings that have been popping up for decades, right up to today. These yarns, often full of emotion and conviction, come from all sorts of blokes and Sheilas. Farmers, explorers, tourists, and even a few scientists. They describe fleeting encounters with a creature that looks a fair bit like the thylacine, often in remote, untouched parts of Tassie and even on the mainland. One of the most famous cases is Kevin Cameron, who back in '82 reckoned he saw a Tassie tiger on his property in Victoria. His story, even though it wasn't confirmed, added fuel to the fire of hope. More recently, in 2024, videos and photos supposedly showing the animal popped up again, like the ones put out by wildlife biologist Forrest Galante, which caused a fair bit of stir and debate on social media and in the news. Thermal images and low-quality videos, often grainy and hard to make out, become the focus of intense online arguments, with believers and skeptics picking apart every pixel, looking for undeniable proof. But a lot of these sightings get quickly debunked as mistaken IDs of other animals, like wild dogs, foxes, or even kangaroos, or in some cases as deliberate hoaxes, like the case of a thylacine that turned out to be a puppet. Fair go, some people will try anything, but not all the stories are easily dismissed. There are more detailed accounts with consistent descriptions of the animal's looks and behavior. Some of these yarns come from people with a fair bit of experience in the bush who swear blind they know what they saw. The persistence of these sightings, even without concrete proof, begs the question, are they all just wishful thinking or mistakes? Or could there be a small mob of thylacines that managed to dodge extinction, adapting to an even more elusive existence? Crikey, it makes you wonder. The hunt for a clear, undeniable photo or video of the Tassie tiger has become a bit of an obsession for many. Every new claim is met with a mix of excitement and skepticism, and the internet has turned into a bit of a battleground for the debate. It's understandable that it's hard to get definitive visual proof, given how shy the animal is and the dense, remote country it supposedly lives in. But the hope that one day a camera will snag the image that finally solves the mystery keeps the search going, keeping the legend of the Tassie tiger alive. You beauty, if visual sightings are the spark that lights the hope, then physical evidence is the fuel that keeps it burning, mate. For the enthusiasts and researchers who reckon the Tassie tiger is still out there, the hunt for concrete proof goes beyond eyewitness accounts, heading out into the bush to find tangible signs of the animal's presence. Tracks, scat, that's poo for the uninitiated, leftover bits from prey and even fur are all considered crucial clues that could, finally, confirm that the thylacine is still roaming the Tasmanian wilderness. Analyzing tracks is one of the most common ways to search. Over the years, plenty of unusual footprints have been found in remote areas, leading to speculation they might belong to a Tassie tiger. But identifying tracks is a tricky business. They can easily be mistaken for those of dogs, foxes, or other animals, and the natural wear and tear of the ground can distort their shape, making analysis even harder. The lack of a comprehensive database of thylacine tracks, with variations for age, sex, and ground type, makes validating these discoveries a real challenge. Another line of investigation involves collecting scat. Environmental DNA, eDNA analysis from scat, could theoretically pinpoint the presence of a Tassie tiger. Back in 2017, a bunch of Aussie researchers announced they'd found scat with thylacine DNA in it, but the sample was tiny and the DNA was degraded, so they couldn't give a definitive confirmation. Contamination of samples is a constant worry, and interpreting eDNA results needs a fair bit of caution and scientific rigor. Stories of attacks on domestic or wild animals with injury patterns that don't match known predators are also looked into. The Tassie tiger's jaw, with its unusual wide gape, could leave distinctive marks, but attributing an attack to a thylacine without direct proof is a fair bit speculative. Many of these incidents can be put down to wild dogs or other carnivores. Despite all the effort and persistence from the researchers, the undeniable proof still hasn't rocked up. The sheer size and density of the Tasmanian landscape, with its impenetrable forests and rugged terrain, make the search incredibly tough. The environment's a mate to the mystery, allowing any elusive creature to stay hidden for ages. With every new discovery, hope gets a fresh kick. But science demands more than just hints. It demands concrete, verifiable evidence. And it's this relentless hunt for that definitive proof that keeps the flame of the mystery burning, pushing us into the next stage of our investigation. Right at the heart of the debate about the Tassie Tiger kicking on is science, mate. For the boffins in the scientific community, the declaration of extinction ain't the end of the story, but a constant challenge to hunt down undeniable proof. The question ain't just whether the thylacine still exists, but how science can prove or disprove that possibility in a land as complex and vast as Tasmania. The scientific arguments against the Tassie tiger's survival are pretty solid. This critter was an apex predator, which means it needed a fair dinkum big hunting ground and a decent population of tucker to keep itself going. Tasmania, wild as it is still an island with limited resources. Keeping a healthy mob of thylacines, able to breed and avoid inbreeding, would need a number of individuals that, in theory, should have been spotted more conclusively by now. Plus, the species wasn't too flash at adapting to places changed by humans, and that's a big factor. The thylacine didn't cotton on too well to living alongside the settlers and their ways, which helped push it to the brink. But hold your horses. Science also offers tools and approaches that keep the hope alive. Ongoing research projects are using flash new tech to try and sniff out the thylacine. Camera traps, for instance, are set up in remote strategic spots, snapping pics of any critters that wander past. Thousands of hours of footage get analyzed, but so far, no undeniable shot of a wild Tassie tiger has popped up. Environmental DNA, eDNA analysis is another promising frontier. Water, soil, or scat samples are collected and checked for genetic traces of the thylacine. While some analyses have hinted at thylacine DNA, the breakdown of the genetic material and the chance of contamination make the results a bit iffy. Scientists like Barry Brook from the University of Tasmania have done a fair bit of digging into over 200 sightings, suggesting the Tassie tiger might have hung on until the 1980s, and there's a slim chance a few are still around. But even Brook himself points out that these analyses are based on a lot of maybes. It's a bloody hard yakka to prove the existence of such an elusive creature in a remote environment. With every new claim, the scientific mob demands a level of proof that hasn't been met yet. A top-notch photo or video, a fresh, undeniable DNA sample, or a live specimen. Until that proof rocks up, the Tassie tiger will remain a scientific ghost, a puzzle that keeps challenging human understanding and pushing the search for answers. Fair go, it's a real head-scratcher. In a world where technology's fair dinkum flying ahead, the idea of bringing extinct species back to life, a concept once stuck in sci-fi flicks, is starting to look a bit more real. For the Tassie tiger, this ain't just a pipe dream, but the focus of some ambitious de-extinction projects that are trying to fix past mistakes and get Tassie's iconic predator back in the bush. The bioscience mob, colossal biosciences teamed up with the University of Melbourne, are leading the charge. Their goal's a big one: use genetic engineering to recreate the Tassie tiger. The process involves digging up and sequencing the DNA from preserved specimens, like the ones you find in museums. From that genetic material, the scientists are planning to use gene editing tricks to tweak the genome of a close living relative, like the fat-tailed dunnart, a tiny marsupial, to make it look and act like a thylacine. The ultimate goal is to create an embryo that can be grown in an artificial womb or in a surrogate species, leading to the birth of a neo-Thylacinus. But de-extinction is a field chock-a-block with scientific and ethical challenges. Scientifically, getting top-notch DNA from old specimens is bloody hard yakka, and the complexity of recreating a whole organism from bits of genetic material is massive. Plus, even if a neo-Thylacinus is created, will it be genetically identical to its ancestor? Will it have the same instincts, behaviors, and the ability to survive in the wild? The question of genetic diversity is also crucial. A population created from a limited number of DNA samples could be vulnerable to diseases and not too flash at adapting. The ethical and ecological implications are huge too. Should we even bring back a species that we wiped out? What would be the impact of reintroducing an apex predator into an ecosystem that's adapted to its absence? Some reckon the resources chucked into de-extinction would be better spent protecting the endangered species that are still around. Others see de-extinction as a way to right past wrongs and bring back biodiversity. Colossal Biosciences argues that the project won't just bring back the Thylacinus, but also develop tech that can be used for conserving other threatened species. The debate's a fair dinkum ripper, and it's got many sides to it. While science is cracking on in the lab, society's having a good think about the responsibilities and consequences of playing God. The Tassie Tiger's comeback, whether it's through a miracle sighting or a scientific breakthrough, continues to be one of the most fascinating and controversial questions in conservation biology. Stone the crows, it's a wild ride. The Tassie Tiger, even though it's officially extinct, is still alive and kicking, mate. It lives on in the Aboriginal legends, in the sighting yarns, in the scientific research, and most of all, in the collective consciousness of humanity. Its story is a powerful reminder of how fragile our wildlife is and the devastating impact human actions can have on the environment. The Thylacinus has become a global symbol of human-caused extinction, an icon of the irreplaceable loss of biodiversity. The Tassie Tiger's legacy goes beyond its physical absence. It's inspired countless artworks, books, films, and documentaries, keeping its memory and the mystery surrounding it alive. Its image is plastered on coins, stamps, and logos, making it an emblem of Tasmania and Australia. This cultural presence is a testament to the enduring fascination this creature holds over us, a mix of admiration for its uniqueness and guilt for its loss. But the Tassie Tiger also serves as a fair dinkum catalyst for conservation. Its tragic story has spurred on the movement to protect endangered species and the creation of laws and sanctuaries to safeguard our wildlife. The hunt for its survival, even if it hasn't paid off yet, highlights the importance of exploring and protecting the last wild refugees on our planet. With every unconfirmed sighting, every new detection technology, every de-extinction project, the Thylacinus forces us to face up to our responsibility towards the natural world. The future of the Tassie Tiger remains a bit up in the air. Will it one day pop out of the shadows, revealing itself to a world that declared it lost? Or will its existence continue to be a whisper in the bush, a legend that just won't die? Science keeps on searching. Hope hangs tough in the hearts of the believers, and nature, in its endless capacity to surprise, keeps its deepest secrets. The question, is the Tasmanian tiger still alive, isn't just about an animal, but a reflection on our own relationship with the planet, about what we've lost, what we can get back, and what we can still protect. And as long as that question echoes, the legend of the Tassie Tiger will keep haunting us and inspiring us. How good is that? So there you have it, Cobber. The long and winding yarn of the Tassie Tiger, a creature that even in its absence stirs up more questions than answers. We've journeyed through its history, from the ancient Dreamtime stories to the tragic hunt that pushed it to the brink, and right up to the modern-day whispers and scientific quests to bring it back. But here's the real dinkum, mate. The bush holds its secrets tight. Whether a few thylacines are still out there, dodging cameras and human eyes, or if they're truly gone, their spirit certainly ain't. This whole saga reminds us that our wild places are full of mysteries, and sometimes the greatest adventures are found in the search itself. It's a fair warning, too, about looking after our unique Aussie wildlife. Every critter, big or small, plays its part in this grand old country. And if we don't pay attention, we might just lose another legend. So what do you reckon? Is the Tassie Tiger still out there, a ghost in the gum trees, or just a memory in the wind? The debate rages on, and that's a good thing, because it keeps us thinking, keeps us looking, and keeps us caring about the wild heart of Australia. If you've got your own bush yarns, your own encounters with the unexplained, or just a burning question about Australia's wild side, we want to hear from you. Head on over to Outback Confessions and share your stories. Let's keep the conversation going, and who knows what other secrets the Outback might reveal. Catch you later.